I'm back! Happy July, everyone! If you're not watching this and it's not July, that's okay. But the time that I'm recording it is July 1st. It is July 1st. It's a new month. I love the aspect of a new beginning in some sort of way. I love new weeks. I love new months, especially when the new month starts on the first day of the week. It's just the perfect start, right? You can refresh, you can charge up the weekend before, and then boom, hit the ground running. So I got to film this podcast episode pretty quickly so that I can make it to the gym and start off my month active, proactive, and the best way possible, okay? Welcome to another episode of the Soldier and Me podcast. In this episode, we're talking about get out your feelings. I'll tell you a little bit why I chose this topic and a little recap of last week right after this intro. All right, everybody. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Tonia. I'm your host for the Soldier and Me podcast, where the Soldier and Me is aiming to bring out the soldier in you. We're in this together, guys. We're friends here. We have a lot to talk about because I was struggling on figuring out what I wanted my episode to be for this Monday. And to be honest with you guys, I was thinking about not posting at all for the start of July. I was gonna give myself a week break. But then I started thinking, I do have something I wanna share. And the purpose of this podcast is so that you guys can kind of walk through life with me just a little bit. It's my therapy. It helps me to get things off my chest, to express what I'm going through and what I'm overcoming, so that you guys know that you're not alone. So often in life, we feel so isolated in our troubles and in our trials and our tribulations. But honestly, we're not alone in any season. There is somebody out there going through something that you're going through, if not worse. So don't ever feel like you're alone. God got you. In this episode, we're going to talk about getting out of your feelings. So as I recapped last week, you kind of see how this episode topic came about. Initially, the topic was going to be something completely different. As I was going through last week, I was feeling so lazy, so depleted. I didn't have any energy. One, didn't go to the gym except like one time last week. Two, I wasn't eating the best either. I honestly was just eating junk for the most part and really only eating like one or maybe twice a day, which is not fulfilling enough for me. So lacking energy from physical activity, lacking energy from what I was eating. And that's probably why I didn't feel like doing any physical activity. I fell behind on keeping the house clean, which most weeks in the last month or so throughout the whole month of June, I've been on top of that stuff. Dishes done, clothes washed, all of it. Last week I struggled, guys. And I just almost felt like doing nothing. I was getting invited to events and it was hard for me to show up. Once I got there, it was good, but like showing up was always the hardest part for me last week. So I really had to push through getting things done even when I didn't feel like it. And let me tell you, 9 times out of 10 last week, I was not feeling like it at all. I don't know what it was. I think that there was a combination of a lot of things. I was getting enough sleep. It was probably the food and the lack of physical activity that just had me feeling so low. And when I don't feel like doing stuff, it's a struggle to actually do it when I know I have to get stuff done. I had a different topic for today, but I said, you know what? We got to talk about getting out of our feelings. Many times you're going to feel like not doing something, but you can't. You can't live life like that because you're trying to reach success, and you can't reach success unless you're taking active steps to get there. Not to say you can't take a break. We're going to talk about how you know when it's time for you to take a break, a step back, rest, because rest is proactively helping you to be better. So I don't neglect rest at all. You need your sleep, you need your rest, you need to take breaks every once in a while. But for me, this week was not the time to take a break. Thank you guys for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, hey girl, hey. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, hey girl, hey. I love you guys so much. The podcast has been doing so great, and I just want to thank you all for your support. I really hope that this podcast comes across authentic. I really hope that it helps you and inspires you and empowers you in your life. Like I said, Soldier in Me is trying to bring out the soldier in you, because I do think we all have inner strength that can be ignited with just a little bit of help and guidance. So let's start with the first thing. We need to get out of our feelings of negative emotions, laziness, and poor or bad past experiences and overcoming them. I had a car deal gone wrong. This is the little recap, guys. So on Saturday, I was trying to buy a car for my little sister. I've been saving money, investing money, working extra hard, having side hustles, and I was about to buy my sister a car. Can you believe it? I was gonna put down about $2,300 on this Honda Fit. It failed. It failed. The dealership outbidded me, y'all. And I was buying it from a friend, and that whole day I was just so sad because I hate losing. I felt like a failure. I struggled doing anything Saturday because I was like, man, I thought I had it. I was this close. I thought I had it. I was going to bless my sister. I wanted to see the smile on her face. God said, it ain't the time. It's not the time. So that's really where this topic stemmed from, was from Saturday. The week I felt lazy, and then Saturday confirmed it. It was like, yeah, we're going to talk about this because there's a lot of negative emotions and a lot of feelings that we have that prevent us from moving forward, doing what we need to do, and getting things done that need to be done. I also wanted to share this too. I lost a best friend, and losing a best friend impacted me in a really difficult way because when it came to like romantic relationships, okay, they come and go. I'm married now, so I'm not really worried about romantic relationships. But friendships hit me hard. And there were some things I definitely could have done better in my friendship. And sometimes when I made that mistake on Saturday, and it really wasn't a mistake, but when that happened to me on Saturday, I just started having all of my feelings coming in the back of my head from things that I've messed up on. I was like, man, what could I've done better there? And then I started going into what could I've done better in every single season of my life. So I'm just beating myself down. Tonia, you're a bad friend. You're a this, you're a that. You failed at this, you failed at that. So that had my emotions spiraling. I was dealing with frustration, disappointment, anger from the car deal. I was also dealing with sadness, grief, and loneliness from losing the best friend. And then feeling lazy just from, like I said, my eating habits, feeling unmotivated. So this past weekend, not to say that everything was bad, I'm just telling you, I literally had to push through my emotions heavily last week. And there are going to be weeks of your life that are like that. Navigating your 20s is hard. They always said if you can get through your 20s, you've pushed through the hardest season of your life. I hope this is my hardest season because it's been pretty difficult, but rewarding at the same time. So not all bad. So number one, recognizing those negative emotions is very important. Common negative emotions are, like I mentioned, frustration, disappointment, anger, sadness, grief, loneliness. And signs and symptoms could be physical. You may be dealing with fatigue, headaches, muscle tension. I didn't really have any muscle tension, but I was definitely dealing with a little fatigue. I felt exhausted last week. Mental, lack of focus. Guys, I couldn't focus on anything, even to this morning. You see how late I'm filming my podcast. I usually have these scheduled. No, I am recording this the day that it goes out today because last week I could not focus. It was a struggle. Lack of focus, negative thinking. I told you about my negative thinking, and I was irritated. I was irritable because of just not having a straight line, not going from point A to point B. It was more zigzag, jiggy jag. And I took it out on my husband a little bit. I had to apologize because I said, Cash, you're getting on my nerves. And he was like, baby, I still love you. I said, okay, thank you. So it happens. And I was just a little irritated. And then emotionally, I was overwhelmed. Like I said, I was unmotivated and I was emotionally drained. I went to an event on Saturday, went to our gym friend's dad's little concert that he holds them in his backyard. And when I tell you, I left that and I just felt even more drained. I was so drained, guys. This past weekend took a lot out of me. So a practical tip to recognize those negative emotions is you need to keep a journal and track your emotions and identify those patterns. You need self-awareness. I am so self-aware. I know when I'm not doing right, guys. You have to recognize right from wrong. And I think that comes down, and not even I know this comes down from representing Christ in your life as best as you can. You know, if you know what is right, then you know what is wrong. If you know what is wrong, you know what is right. And if you are feeling these negative emotions, it's not that it's wrong, but you know that you need to overcome them. You don't want to be stuck in the negative, okay? You need to find a way to dig through the dirt and come out on top. So you need to be self-aware. You need to recognize your feelings because your feelings are valid. But I'm here to tell you to get out your feelings because we can't stay in the rut. No, if you're trying to reach success, if you have goals in your life, you have got to find something that boosts your mood. Maybe the new month is where it begins, okay? Starting July 1st on a Monday is where you start to scale back up. And life isn't linear, you know, you're going to have ups, you're going to pitfall a little bit, you're going to go up, you're going to pitfall. But as long as you're still climbing at the end of the day and reaching a better version of yourself, that's all that matters. But you have to recognize those negative emotions so that you know how to combat them. So you know how to go to war with them. You know how to fight them. Number 3, ways to overcome the negative emotions. Acknowledge and accept them. We talked about self-awareness. Don't suppress or ignore what you're feeling. Now you need to practice mindfulness and self-awareness. Some healthy outlets could be exercise, which I'm about to do today. Hopefully I have time to do that, guys. You want to maybe even have some creative outlets, creative activities, do some art, go for a walk in the park and maybe just like find creative things that are in your atmosphere around you. Draw. Another way that you can have an outlet for getting rid of and overcoming your negative emotions could be techniques like deep breathing and meditating. I love going to the sauna. I don't go very often, but sitting in the sauna just like releases all the toxins out my body. It's a chance for me to sit there, sit with myself in peace and quiet and breathe and just talk to God. Maybe you need to have a moment where you sit and feel all of your emotions, recognize them, and talk through them with yourself before you go to other people. But that's another way that you can overcome your negative emotions. Maybe you need a therapist. Maybe you need to talk to somebody. Find a friend. Maybe you have a significant other, a sister, a mom, a dad, a grandma. Talk about your negative emotions so they can reaffirm you and lift you up. Someone that's going to build you up and maybe even call you out, because sometimes you need people that are going to be honest with you. Say, hey, listen, you feel that way because you were wrong here. Once you can find those healthy outlets, you need to implement a self-care strategy. Get your eyebrows done, your eyelashes done, your nails done, right? But you also want to make sure you're getting sleep, balancing your diet. Don't be like me last week. Eat healthy and eat meals. Eat meals, okay? 3 times a day. Regular physical activity is a good one for self-care. We need to move. Physical activity is a healing for us. Like it really is. If we can go on walks, if we can talk to God and walk and run. That's why I always tell people my gym is my therapy, is because I honestly, when I'm dealing with pain in my life, working out is a pain relief for me. It's like a metaphor for me. If I'm dealing with pain internally, working out is like me externalizing that pain through physical exertion. Does that make any sense? I love it. It makes me feel so good. And I think that's what keeps me motivated in working out. Your next thing is to set realistic goals. If you have goals in your life, that can help you to get out of your rut sometimes, out of your negative thinking, your negative emotions, your laziness, because you know that you have to reach something. If you're trying to reach a goal, you can't reach it by not doing anything. So formulating your mindset, taking the rest, taking the breaks, doing the self-care a little bit, and then getting back on track, realizing that you have a goal you're trying to reach. Now you have a trajectory. Now you can taking small steps to getting out of your rut, and then eventually you will. You know, you have to practice what you're trying to become. So if you're trying to become healthy, mentally sound, mentally sane, emotionally stable, you got to practice that. And setting steps daily, a good morning routine can truly help you get to your top level, getting out of your feelings. I think that having goals is really, really important in today's age. Having a goal gives you something to achieve. And when you have something to achieve, you're more likely going to take steps to get there. I'm not even going to lie, guys. I'm struggling to really even get through this episode, but I'm trying my hardest to get out of my feelings, get out of my rut, because I have goals I want to reach. I have goals on this YouTube channel that I want to reach, and that keeps me motivated to keep going. Small growth is still growth. We hear that all the time. So why aren't you taking small steps? Take that small step, and daily you might not see the big picture on the daily, but by the time you look 6 months down the line, you'll realize, okay, me showing up 5 minutes for a workout that day ended up being 20 minutes out the week, and I lost 5 pounds in 7 months. You'll start to realize that those small steps that you're taking truly made a difference in the long run. You'll look back 6 months or a year from now like, wow, I made some significant progress, even though I only did a little each day. My goal for you this week is to implement a self-care strategy and recognize how it impacts your emotions. And hopefully it makes a positive impact, and take note of that. For me, I know working out makes a positive impact on my emotions. So I'm about to go do that. maybe that's the same thing that you need to do as well. I want to encourage you to reflect on your negative emotions, recognize what's causing them, whether you're feeling lazy, maybe you need some sleep, whether you are feeling little energy because you haven't worked out or you're not eating healthy. Keep a journal this week, okay? Note those emotional patterns and triggers. Let's recap on all the things that I just went all over today, because I honestly feel like this episode is a mess. I hope you guys like it, but I feel like this episode is a mess because I told you I'm getting out of a rut. This past week has been difficult. I'm like rushing filming this podcast episode, but it's okay because I'm practicing the art of showing up. And I hope that me doing that helps you to do that too. So number one, I want you to reflect on your emotions. Understand the root causes of your feelings. Number two, I want you to have some kind of emotional journal. Write it down. Take out the notes in your phone and just write down what emotion patterns you're experiencing for the day and track them. So that way you can then recognize what's causing them. Number three is acknowledging and accepting. Don't suppress or ignore your emotions. Talk about them, get a friend, get a therapist. Number four, healthy outlets. Find ways to express those emotions like exercising and creative activities. Number five, self-care, one of my favorites, getting proper sleep, having a good skincare routine, a good, healthy, nutritious diet. I don't like to say diet, but nutritious meals. Practice some relaxation techniques. Number six is set realistic goals. Break those tasks into manageable steps to avoid feeling overwhelmed. A lot of times we don't make steps forward because we don't know what steps to take in the first place. We don't make steps forward because we don't know what step one is. I've been there. Step one is to write down goals. Step two is to write down steps to get you to that goal. Step three is to make that first step that you wrote down, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I love you, but Jesus loves you way, way more. So if you're dealing with something, don't hesitate to pray about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I feel like it was all over the place. I hope that it truly comes together and impacts you in your life positively in some way, shape, or form. Just letting you know, you're not alone. You're never alone. I'm here with you. If you want to chat, you can follow me on Instagram at the Soldier in Me podcast. I would love to talk more and hopefully inspire you through my life journey. I hope the Soldier in Me truly brings out the soldier in you, and I'll catch you guys next week with hopefully a better outlined podcast episode. I'm so hard on myself. I'm so hard on myself, but I'll see you guys next week. Have a blessed week and happy July. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Tonia Michele, and I'll see you next week in the Soldier in Me podcast. Love you guys. Bye.